So the problem was mainly with these two bars. This one, these holes didn't line up with the mounting holes in the platen where they're supposed to work, and this guy was just altogether way too short, or it didn't come with the extra piece to extend it. So he sent me three more. This one is to replace this guy. These holes should line up now with the platen. This is the bar that this bar and that bar were supposed to replace. So now I've got both. So seemingly I shouldn't be able to go wrong. And then I was missing a little bit of hardware, but he sent me a big bag of all kinds of different hardware and stuff. So here we go. Well, here we are, sort of. The new arms worked awesome. I still could have used a few more of these washers. As you can see, I had to use some big weird chunk of this big thick steel washer that he sent me for some reason. I'm not sure exactly what those are for, but he sent me a few of them. But I had some washers with a slightly larger inner diameter that was almost too big for the heads of these little Allen screws or bolts. So I was able to swap a bunch of stuff around to make them work, but I ended up with having to do stuff like this, and there's a couple other spots right here. There's a nut here with one of the larger washers. It's kind of barely holding. So it would have been nice to have a few more of those washers, but I made it work, I guess. This motor, this is a 3rd horsepower. It's not as big as I want to go, but I think it's got a high enough RPM to run these things, these belts for now. I'm not exactly sure how to mount that guy yet in line so that the belt tracks properly. This is the tracking adjustment, but it'll only go so far. It'll only max out, and if the motor is way out, then it's going to throw the whole thing out. So I've mounted it on a couple of 2x4s here, and then a piece of 3/4 plywood. The whole unit is mounted on a piece of 3/4 plywood because I'm really limited for space in here. So keeping the whole unit together but mobile is paramount in here, because I don't have that kind of space to just mount it directly to my workbench here. It'll just be in the way for all kinds of other stuff that I've got to do, even knife related. I don't have the room in here. So the whole thing's mounted on the sheet of 3/4 inch plywood, and then the motor is mounted again on top of more 3/4, and that's just floating for now. So I can fix this down to the base plywood once I get this thing turning, and I can fine-tune the alignment of the drive wheel. The drive wheel is another issue. See if I can get, it's not the shaft, the outer diameter of the shaft and the inner diameter of the wheel are not jiving. So hopefully there's a sleeve or something I can get to make that work, because that's the only motor I've got, and I don't really want to go and spend a few $100 on a new motor just to get the thing running. So if I can get something on there to make it work, then I'll be able to fire it up, and we'll see. I'll have to start relearning how to grind knives vertically, because everything else I've been doing has been on a horizontal, and so it's going to be a whole new learning curve, but that's knife making. Also, a couple other things. I'm trying to be more concise in these videos because I feel like I ramble a lot, and they got a lot of hums and haws in it, so I'm trying to be a little quicker. But here's a couple things that I will forget more often, but here's a couple other things. I had to lift the engine, the motor, up on a couple of 2x4s because the alignment, the belt comes across these 4 bolts back up to where it comes up the platen, and it was actually so close it was touching the bolts and rubbing on them, so I had to lift the engine up a little bit to just to clear those. Also, right now I've just got it mounted with a few screws, kind of chintzy, but it's temporary. I'm going to mount them better with something else once I get the thing running. Hello Internet, you are watching Mike Jones from Mike Jones Knife and Tool try to be an electrician. I certainly am not an electrician. I just played one in a movie once. But here I am trying to wire up my motor, my electric motor, 3rd horsepower, 1725 RPM. Should be pretty good to run my grinder. I asked the guys who know what they're talking about, and they said I want 1800 RPM. So 1725 is pretty close. The problem with this motor is that it's not sealed up at all. I'll give you a shot of this here. See all them holes? Same with up here. It's not where you want to be shooting a lot of sawdust or steel dust from grinding a lot of steel. So this is going to be a temporary setup here. I really probably shouldn't be setting it up at all, but I really want to see this grinder turning. So I'm going to try to wire this guy up with this plug, plug it into the wall, see if we can't light this thing up. If I die here today, then Costa Knives gets all my tools for knife making, but he has to spend one night in my shed. Alright, let me show you what I'm working with here. This thing was wired up with 2 wires. It's actually a solid 2-wire cable. Probably just some old extension cord or something. No idea which one, no idea which one is black or white that came out of that. It was also just ground to the frame, which works fine if the frame is mounted to something that is ground, but this is just some wood. So I've tagged along another piece of wire that's the wrong color, but at least a big enough gauge, down to here. And so as you can see, ground, and then 50-50 chance, which is better than most of the chances I have, so I like it. So plug this guy in, flick the switch, and the only, I should explain, I guess, I don't think that it matters as far as power goes, because I think alternating current and household current is just circular anyway, so power will go to the motor no matter which of these two I've got, but it will dictate which direction this guy rotates. So if I'm wrong, it'll rotate in the wrong direction and my belt will spin in the wrong direction. What I'm looking for is clockwise. Looking at it from this direction, I want clockwise spin so that it's coming down my platen. If it's spinning the other way, well, then I'll have to switch the wires around, but at least I'll know that something's working. Okay, here we go. It's dark in here because I'm going to plug it into this plug that's right out of the shot here. You can't see, but there's a light switch beside it which controls the plug. So it won't be firing up as soon as I'm plugging it in. It'll be firing up when I flick the switch. When that happens, this light will turn on and this motor will explode. Plugged in. This is the moment of truth. Great success. It's running, and it's running in the right direction. Right on, man. Alright, we got something now. Okay, awesome. So there's a slight odor coming out of the motor, very, very minimal, not like a burning electric kind of motor or kind of odor, more like I'm hoping it's just some dust that's gotten into there and it's kind of working its way out kind of odor. But so far so good. Unfortunately, the cable that I was left with this thing is only like 2 feet long, so if it were a permanent fix, I would definitely replace all the electrical from this thing, get that old crappy cable out of there. Replace it with some proper cordage, but because it's going to be so temporary, I'm probably just going to run it off of an extension cord for now. I know it's kind of shady, but I just want to get this grinder spinning, get her licking away. So I'm going to set this guy up, put a belt on it, get her spinning, real exciting. Line everything up, make sure we're all in line and everything's tracking properly. And I'll bring you along once that's happening. So it's a good day.